So in the previous session's discussion, we understood about when to use predicate. When to use predicate? Predicate is one predefined function interface. When the input is any input, then if return type is Boolean return type, then we have to use the predicate. So I mean to say, when input type and based on the return type, we have to use the appropriate function interfaces. Any input and Boolean return type, then that's a scenario to be used with one. Which one? Predicate. That's a scenario of predicate. With which function? Test is a function name or method name. Then similarly, any input and also any return type, then this is a scenario to be used with function. And what's the method name of the function interface? Apply. The next step. Any input, but no return type, that's a void return type. Then in this scenario, what to use? Consumer. What's the method name of consumer? Accept it. So this is what we discussed so far, the three predefined function interfaces. Then along with this, let's go for what is the another type of requirement. Is it mandatory for Java methods to have input always? It's not mandatory to have the input, right? Then when no input is no input. And no input, no return type scenario will not be there. No input, but any return type. Now, can we use predicate for this scenario? No, predicate will take one or more inputs. By default, one input, but if it required, we can go for by predicate also. Then function will take one input. If required, you can go for by consumer, by function also. And consumer will take any single input. If you want, we can go for by consumer also for multiple inputs. But when no input is there, then we can't use these three. Then what we supposed to use? That's where Java has defined one more called as supplier. A scenario of no input, any return type, then use the supplier. So let's understand about supplier syntax and also the method in which it is present. Supplier is another predefined function interface, which is used when return value is any return type and with input of no input. Supplier is used when return value is any type and supplier accepts no input. And the syntax of the supplier is a method. So this R is return type you have to mention because there is no input for the supplier. Okay. R for return type of results supplied by the supplier. You have to mention that while using it. And it has a method called as any return type with get method. Get method, no inputs because supplier will not take any inputs. And since it's a function interface, then we have to, it's annotated with a function interface. So this is what is the purpose of supplier. So when to use supplier, I hope you understood. Then let's go for one example, which is the most commonly used and we will be using it every day. So one such example, let's understand that. Generate OTP. Generate a 6-digit OTP. So when it comes to performing any app logins, and initially to be secure that is it you doing or somebody else is doing on behalf of. And when it comes to transferring the money, so in all these scenarios, without we requesting, without we giving any input from our end to get OTP, so by default we'll get one OTP in between, a transaction to perform and to confirm. Okay, we'll initiate one transaction. I'll type the mobile number or account number, I'll type the amount and send. But while sending, before the money transferred, first you have to authenticate by using 6-digit OTP. Then you are using mobile number to send the money and you are entering how much to be transferred. But are you giving anything as OTP input? No. So in between, you are going to get one OTP. Without we giving any input, we are going to get one security in terms of OTP. Then let's understand how to generate it first. Then how do we use the with supplier? So we might have discussed this during the immutability concept. So let's understand this, how to generate the 6-digit OTP. Right? Since it's required 6-digit OTP, then we have to go for a loop. A for loop of int I equals to 1 and it should run up to 6 times, then I plus plus a for loop to run. Yeah. What is supposed to do? Each time get some random number. Each time get a random single digit number. How to get randomly a single digit number? Java has a predefined class called as math class. Dot math class has a method called as random. A method which is called by class name is called a static method, and which doesn't take any inputs and which returns double value. Then if you multiply this double value with 10, then from the decimal, a single digit will become non-decimal. For example, 0.56 is a double value generated by random method. If you multiply by 10, it will become 5.6. Still double value only, but 5.6 becomes correct. Then from this, get the single digit only or non-decimal digit. That's where you have to perform this entire value to be typecasted to integer. That means when we are converting by using explicit conversion, there will be a loss of data. Decimal part will lose it. Implicit conversion, no loss of data. Explicit conversion, there is a loss of data. What's loss here? The decimal part is a loss. That's what we want. We don't want the decimal part. Then this entire value to be concatenated to which one? Something should not be modifiable, immutable. So that's where let's use a string. String with some reference name equals to empty string with just simply double quotes. That's what is nothing but one empty string in Java. Then use the empty string, concatenation is happening, then store it back to the same empty string only. Then finally, we have written the OTP. So this is what is nothing but how to generate a 6-digit OTP and randomly some 6-digit numbers. Then this entire thing must be now in the lambda block, starting of lambda, ending of lambda. And this to be used with supplier, which takes no inputs. Therefore, empty parenthesis is mandatory, then the lambda. Empty parenthesis, then lambda. This is a lambda block. In the lambda block, we are writing the logic and we are returning the value. Then this is a scenario where we can use no input scenario, supplier. Supplier will take what? Generic return type you have to mention. What's return type? OTP in the string format. Then we can use some supplier, yes, for supplier. Then how to use it or how to get it? System.out.println to print. Yes is for supplier. Supplier can be used with get method. Then like this, you write n number of times, then you are going to get n number of times the 6-digit random OTP numbers. This is an example of we are not giving an input, but we are getting a OTP. No inputs, string return type is an example. Am I clear? So this is where we will be using this supplier as an example. Let's go for the same thing as execution for the supplier. I'll minimize this. I'll close the current session. Let me create a new class as supplier example. Supplier example to generate OTP. So let's consider main method for execution purpose and then followed by write a lambda which takes no inputs and a lambda with a lambda block to start with and also lambda block to end with. End of the statement. Yeah. So then followed by here let's write the logic. So of course until unless we go for left hand side code, the code will not be correct because alone lambdas will not work. We are aware of it. But let's write the same code that we discussed. Some string OTP equals empty double quotes makes empty string. This is what is nothing but empty string. Then let's continue the logic. We want to generate a 6-digit OTP. Therefore, run the loop for 6 times. So I equals 1 to start with. Then I supposed to be less than equal to 6 times. Then I plus plus. In the for loop block, inside this, take the variable and to the same variable concat the single digit every time. Then to get a single digit of integer type, first do the typecasting. Then followed by you have to use a math predefined class with a method called as random method, and to get a single digits only, multiply by 10, then finally enter this thing we are converting into integer type. So this is what is the lambda, and we have to return the variable called as OTP in which the value is there. This is what is a lambda expression to return OTP without giving any input. Now, when no input scenario, we have to use the supplier, and with some generic return type of this, as per the current scenario, it's a string return type, then followed by some supplier reference. Now this is the correct syntax. Only importing is left over, Control Shift O. That's syntax. Then finally, let's go for using this. How to use it? Because it's already returning, we can print from the print function. Then supplier reference called as yes dot supplier can be used with get method only. Then like this, you can call this any number of times. The method calling by using supplier, we are going to get those many random single digit OTPs. Control F11, and here is a Control F11 to run the application to see the OTPs. Randomly we are getting it. And because why are we using string? Maybe a question that because here we are using the string is immutable. Yeah. If someone tries to modify your OTP also, the OTP of the modified object is different address, and the OTP that we are getting is a different address. So therefore, it is not the same thing. It's not that simple to provide a wrong OTP to it. Hope understood. This is an example of a supplier. So with this, we understood the 4 predefined function interfaces which are used to fulfill any of the real-time requirements of Java. Then followed by, let's understand 2-3 more important points. What is that is? Before Java 8, there are some interfaces. Before Java 8, there are some interfaces where they have only one abstract method. That is from Java 8, the terminology is introduced called as a functional interface. Functional interface concept is introduced in Java 8 only. What's the meaning of that? Any interface, whether predefined or programmer defined, with one abstract method, that's called as a functional interface. Then not to write multiple or not to define multiple interfaces by programmer, then Java has defined in Java 8 the 4 predefined function interfaces called as predicate, function, consumer, supplier. Then what I'm saying is before Java 8 also there are some interfaces with one abstract method only. So what are those? One such is runnable. Runnable has which method? Void run. Runnable interface has run method only. Runnable interface has no other methods. Because an interface called runnable, which has only one method called run, which takes no inputs, which returns void type. So we can use this runnable as a functional interface also. Hello. Then next, we also have a callable as one interface, which is introduced in Java 1.5. Then callable has a method called as call method. Call method will take no inputs, and call method return any object. That means an interface with one abstract method, which doesn't take any inputs, which returns object, can be used as this callable also as a functional interface. We can use it. Similarly, we also have one more method called as compare method, and which takes a 2 inputs, say object obj1, then comma object obj2 as a method, then which returns integer. Interface name is comparator, is the interface. So we can use This comparator also like a function interface. So from Java 8, we have a function interface concept. So where predicate function consumer supplier are introduced in this Java 8 only. But before Java 8 also we have few interfaces which have only one abstract method. Therefore, we can also use them like function interfaces from Java 8 onwards. Hope I'm clear. Yeah. Then how to compare these objects? I think during the collections part we have discussed about it. Collections custom sorting by using if condition return positive, return negative, return 0. Or ternary operator return positive, return negative, return 0 by comparison. That's what is the purpose of the comparator to custom sorting. And the run method to define a thread, call method to define a thread. So this is about Java 8 function interfaces, predefined especially, and also programmer defined. If required, we can still write it, but mostly we don't come across any requirement of programmer has to define a function interface because Java provided 4 interfaces are sufficient enough to understand or to fulfill any of the real-time requirements. So with this, I stop here.